persistence is not just the grit. Persistence is something that gets inside of you where all of a sudden there's almost like a miracle mentality that's just not on you, but it's in you.
Mm.
Miracle mentality says, somehow, some way, I'm going to get through. Somehow, some way, I'm going to get through. So if there's a mountain in front of you today, I'm talking to everybody watching, sometimes you drill through the mountain. That's that persistence, chest pounding. But sometimes you're supposed to go around the mountain, and sometimes you're supposed to climb the mountain. So you got to say, this mountain that I'm facing today, do I drill through it? Damn it, get the hell out of my way. Drill through it. Do I go around it, or do I go over it?
What is up, the Entrepreneur DNA family? This is going to be a hell of an episode. I have a good friend of mine. This is a man who is known as the life coach to the stars, the people that we all want to be like, or do we? We don't know. Best-selling author, great friend, nationally recognized speaker. I mean, the resume goes on and on. My good friend Tim Storey is here. What is up, dude?
Justin, good to be on. And I'm excited about your podcast. How long have you been doing it now?
So I've had this podcast for about a year and a half, but I've been podcasting for over a decade. So this specific one is about 16 months old. And then I have another one called The Science of Flipping that I've had for 11 years.
I'm loving it. And you're getting
Yeah.
like phenomenal guests. So it's a
Yeah.
privilege to be on. And I'm glad that we're going to talk about the miracle mentality as an entrepreneur, because it is needed.
It is really widely needed, right? I mean, the reason why I was so happy that you were able to find some time, and I know we've been trying to kind of get it between your schedule and my schedule, is because, listen, there's a lot of pain right now in the world, of course, but even in business, in the financial sector, in the real estate sector. And I'm a firm believer of things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And it's a reframing of this. This is why your book, The Miracle Mentality, is so brilliant. If you guys don't have it, go get it. Talk to us a little bit about that. Talk to us about the book, the ideology, where it came from, what it's really speaking to.
Yeah, I think that anytime you decide to do something at a higher level, you need to think in an extraordinary manner. I've been very fortunate enough to do, as Justin said, to be around people that really have done well, to work with the John Paul DeJoras, who sold Patron for $5 billion, to be around Lee Iacocca for 80, who's done amazing things for all these years, and to be around him for 35 years, to be around people like a Quincy Jones for over 37 years. And what you learn is that these were common men that thought uncommon thoughts. So in order to be an entrepreneur like you desire to be, you have to have a miracle mentality.
Yeah, and that you say something that I want people to rehear, if you will. Common men that think uncommon thoughts. And
Yeah.
we were just talking offline a little bit ago about just the decision to be an entrepreneur is pretty uncommon. Now it is gaining traction, right? I mean, it is becoming much more it's being received a lot more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is an uncommon strategy for the most part still, right?
Mhm.
Relative to the 9 to 5. And so just the simple fact of someone choosing to be an entrepreneur is
Yes.
uncommon. And so
It-
talk to us about the things that you saw, the common threads, whether it's the Quincy Jones, Lee Iacocca. What are some of these common threads with their thought process, their belief system, their actions?
Yeah. So let's go into the common man thinking uncommon thoughts for a second. Let's start even in kindergarten. In kindergarten, in the average class, you have 20 to 25 students in each class. So it's like you're just in this cluster of kids that, you know, they think are common. But within that group of 20 to 25 kids, at one point was Jeff Bezos. At one time was someone like a Lee Iacocca. At one point was somebody like an Elon Musk or a Justin Colby. So within that cluster was common kids but they chose, many of them, to find uncommon way of thinking. So I call it a miracle mentality. A miracle is something extraordinary, uncommon, and not regular. So let's go to your life, all you that are watching right now. At what point in your life did you realize that you were not normal?
Mm.
Well, I asked this to Oprah Winfrey in her backyard. She said, at 10 years of age, I knew I was supposed to do something great. I asked it to Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder said, at about 7 years of age, I knew I was called to do something great. I asked it to Robert Downey Jr., who became Iron Man. He said, Tim, probably about 8, I started making films with my dad. I knew I was not supposed to be regular. So the first thing that I would say to you is, at what point in your life did you realize you were not supposed to be regular? So let me ask you, Joe, at what point in your life did you realize you were not supposed to be just a regular guy?
I don't know if I knew it then and there, but I realized looking back I wasn't, because I've never had a W-2 job. I graduated UCLA, which would be a great diploma to have for your normal W-2
Of
job. I've
course, yeah.
never had a W-2 job as an adult. And when I look back at my childhood, 6, 7, 8 years old, I was washing cars, right? I was collecting trash around the neighborhood. I was collecting the bottles and the cans to bring it to the recycling bin so I could get paid versus the trash can coming around. I would go buy baseball cards. We have a good friend, Dan Fleischman, right? He owns
Mhm.
coffee and cards. Like, I would go buy a box of cards. I would open it in front of the store owner, and I would sell him back the individual cards that he would want to buy, and I would flip it right then and right there. And looking back, I'm like, I've always been an entrepreneur. It's actually all I've ever known.
Yeah. I like how you say that, because I don't think it's always like an aha moment where you just go ding, but it's just, you could see it by your actions. The fact that you were selling goods, selling things. I like to study people. I've now been to 82 countries of the world. There's a guy named Ingvar Kamprad. He is from Sweden. He created something called IKEA. Most of us have been there, IKEA. And the way he started was by selling things door to door when he was 8, 9, and 10 years of age.
Mm.
And when questioned in an interview, did you ever think you'd be the guy that had a Kia all over the world? He said, absolutely not. I was just a young guy selling things door to door.
Yeah. Funny enough, I had you may or may not know him, Sam Taggart. He literally runs a door to
Loves.
door con.
And he took me to Switzerland last year.
Did he really? I love
I
that.
love it.
Yeah. So funny, we're talking door to door again. I
Yeah.
started in business. I graduated UCLA with a diploma that people would kill for, and I ended up becoming a door to door salesman with that diploma. My family literally is like, Justin, what is wrong with you? Right? Like, but that is the difference. I was willing. That didn't make me quit. I told him what I wanted to be. Like, I was like, I want to go down this path. I don't care if you think I'm crazy or silly or stupid and they did. I mean, the reality is people get all caught up on what are people going to say about me? And they're already saying it. Your family, your close friends are saying it. They're saying, oh, he's crazy for doing that. Oh, he's stupid for doing that. Oh, he doesn't know that's just silly, right? They are saying it because it makes themselves feel better, first of all.
I like this.
But
But let's go into the miracle mentality in business.
as many of you know, I'm constantly on the move, juggling multiple businesses, traveling, and ensuring I get my morning workouts in. Staying fresh isn't just a preference, it's a necessity. But let's face it, after back-to-back meetings, juggling 2 kids at home, and the hustle and bustle of everyday life, body odor can become an issue. But here's the deal. Mando has revolutionized how I stay fresh. This isn't just another deodorant, it's clinically proven to control odor better than a shower alone with soap. My favorite scent, bourbon leather, it's fresh, is subtle, and doesn't clash with my cologne. And I was surprised by how well the solid stick works, even after an intense morning workout. Mando's starter pack is perfect for the new customer. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or a deodorant wipe, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners and new customers, you get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% of your starter pack. Use code Colby at shopmando.com. That is shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from the head to the toe with Mando.
So what I've been able to do is I've been able to walk stride for stride with a lot of people that other people know, but I got to know them from the inside. So let's say a Magic Johnson. I met Magic probably 1989. When I met him, he was still part of the Lakers. He was doing well. Now he is a billionaire. He's a billionaire not because of basketball, but because of business. He was really trained a lot under the tutelage of the owner of the Lakers, who is Jerry Buss, who is now passed on. And now his daughter, Jeannie Buss, has taken over, and they have a special about her on Netflix right now.
Yep.
Magic did something very interesting where he learned from Mr. Buss, and he ventured out. He got into part ownership of Fat Burgers, which is kind of like an In-N-Out Burgers. Then he got into Friday's restaurants, only took some of them. Then he talked to Mr. Schultz at Starbucks, said, we need some inner city Starbucks. Then he got Magic Johnson Theaters. Then he began to take part of the Dodgers, the Lakers, now the Washington Commanders. Now $1 billion. Now, how did he do that? He had uncommon thinking. People that have a miracle mentality, they have uncommon thinking. All right. So I got to go back to you, Justin, because you know I'm a life coach. So I got to go there. So when did you start thinking uncommon thoughts? Was it a 9-year-old little Justin, a 12-year-old little Justin?
I think it's as young as I could have possibly have been, is because again, the reason why, like, I'll give you a great story for me. Saturday, me and my buddies were riding a bike. I don't know, call it 9 years old, right? Riding a bike around the neighborhood. This is when that was like safe and like easy to do, right?
Yeah.
So riding a bike, there's these group of girls I remember very clearly. We're at a Safeway like a Safeway strip mall, right? And they were at the corner, and my friends were like, "Oh, there's blah blah blah," and I just jumped on my bike and rode over to them and introduced myself. Had a normal little conversation. I don't remember all their names. I believe one was Julie, but I say that because they said they were going to go to the park. And so I said, cool. And I went back to my friends. My friends were blown away. What did you say? How did you say it? Why did you do? What did they say? And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders. I was like, I just said hi and told them my name. I didn't do anything. Right.
Yeah.
And I've always had this, like, nothing is actually that big of a deal. Nothing, right? And now as a business owner, I realize the same thing about the great times, the highs, the pinnacles, the peak, the zenith. It's not always as big or as great as you think it is while you're there, because the same perspective, the bottoms, the valleys, the basements, they're not always as low as you think they are, right?
Love what you're saying, because that does show that you were willing to think outside the box by approaching this group. So uncommon thinking comes two ways. Number one, it's innate. So a lot of people that I work with, it could be the greatest soccer players in the world, the greatest cricket players in the world, NBA players, actors, singers. Some of them say, hey, I feel like my, miracle lifestyle was innate. Others say part of it was innate, but most of it was learned behavior. That's the beauty of this thing. So if you're not a person where you think, man, I don't always think, as Justin just said, I don't always think the utmost, the pinnacle, the zenith, the highest. Well, we can train you in this. And that's one reason that I love your podcast, because you're bringing on amazing guests that we can train you in this miracle mentality. So number one, great people who have a miracle mentality, they have uncommon thoughts. Secondly, they make uncommon plans. Now, This is a challenge because a lot of you that are watching, you were raised in a family that if you thought uncommon and made uncommon plans, there was a pushback. Some would say, "Ooh, watch out for your ego. Uh, watch out. This doesn't seem like a stable plan." But people that do well, they make uncommon plans. When I say that, what does it mean to you, Justin?
It's exactly what I kinda went through when I started going door to door. My entire family, right? Now I didn't talk about it with my friends per se because we're all in that weird flux of we just graduated college, no one really knows what we're doing. So, friends were kind of whatever, but
Yeah.
family, right? They're like, "Justin, what are you doing? This is not you should not be doing this. You should be going for higher education. You should be going for that six-figure job in San Francisco," or whatever the case is. And that led into even when I would move, right? I moved a lot in my adult life intentionally. And
Yes.
family and friends, like, well, do you know anyone out there? Do you know anyone in Phoenix? Do you have friends out there? Like, what are you going to do? Like, everyone would question because everyone was safe in their bubble. They were safe in the, I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area
Yes.
and they loved their bubble. I mean, to this day, trying to get my
Mm.
family out of Marin County, which is beautiful. It is God's country. Do not get me wrong. But
Oh,
man,
I love I love
it's like pulling teeth. They're like, "Oh, I don't really want to go anywhere." I'm like, it's just a bubble. Like I'm all about the bigger experiences, the more experiences. I want to try every food. I want to go to every like. I want that because I know life is finite.
you on this. Is that more innate or was that more learned behavior?
Totally innate, completely
Okay.
innate. I grew up with alcoholic parents, raising myself essentially, like, none of that was learned. That was all innately me.
Yes. Okay. So watch what happens. So, number one, you have uncommon thoughts. Number two, you make uncommon plans.
Mhm.
So the pushback from your family, etc., is that as Carol Dweck from Stanford University says, people get caught up in a fixed mindset rather than in a growth mindset. So this is
Mhm.
what we have to be careful of as entrepreneurs. Is that people in a fixed mindset say, people from our neighborhood, we don't do that.
That's right. That's right.
Fixed mindset is, come on, Justin, get realistic. Uh, so a lot of people that are watching right now, you're facing that, and your mentors, and many times religion or friends or people you date or people that you marry have a fixed mindset, but innately, and also what you're learning has given you a growth mindset. So you're going to get frustrated.
Mm,
You got to find a way, man. Go
that's
ahead.
it. So as a life coach, what would you advise those people to find that way, right? How do they break through that forest? How do they get through the trees? How do they do that, based around the experience that you've seen?
Okay. The way you do that is you have to partner with the right people. So it's called the power of partnership. It's a super, super, super powerful. There's actually a scripture in the Bible that says, it's Proverbs 13:20. It says, when you walk with the wise, you will stack up more wisdom. But if you spend time with people with no understanding, your life will begin to unravel. Ooh, think about this.
Mhm.
Man, you spend time with the right people, you'll stack up more wisdom. As you know, Justin, with the people that me and you get to hang around with,
Yep.
man, we're like stacking up wisdom. If I get around Grant Cardone, I was with him on a cruise for like 7 days straight. We
Yeah.
were just going every day. When I get around Glenn Stearns, Mr. Undercover Billionaire,
Yeah.
worth right about $1 billion, we were mixing it up on the same cruise for 7 days. The other day, I was with Ed Milet. You learn. Now I'm with Justin. I learn from Justin. Justin learns from me. So you got to partner with the right people. Now, that doesn't mean you'll get to know them, but watch. You go out there, watch their podcast. You could read their books. You could take their courses. You could partner with the right people. So when I say that, what goes through your mind?
So I believe in the common four, and I say common because I feel like most people should know this, but some might not. your mind body connections in business, right? So the connections part is what you're talking about. Now,
Mhm.
there are people that will take that to the God and faith side, which is great. There's people that take that to the marriage and family and wife and husband and kids. And then there's people that take that into the business. It's not or, it is an and. You need to have all that within your connections. I come from a place of always knowing I will do more, I will be more, I will make more with people than alone.
Yes.
In fact, it is why the entrepreneur DNA exists, Tim, right?
Mhm.
A year ago, a year and a half ago, I've had a decade worth of podcasting. It's been going great. And I said, dude, my Rolodex is pretty deep. I know some
Mm,
pretty amazing individuals that I know, but the
yes.
world should be knowing. Why
Mm,
don't I start a podcast called The Entrepreneur DNA and
mm,
feature the likes of Tim Storey? I just had Dean Graciosi on. I've had Grant Cardone on twice. I've had name the name, right?
mhm.
And it's because I know the opportunities that will come from Tim and I. We talked about it just before we started recording. There's collaborative stuff that we can be doing today. Like tomorrow, we can have a conversation, like that type of connection with intentionality. I think the missing link to me, and I love your perspective on this, people aren't intentional with their connections. They aren't
Yeah.
intentional with reaching out and being a part of a master. Tim, you run an incredible, what I'll call a mastermind, an incredible group of
Yes.
movers, of shakers. Let's talk about it for a little bit because if you're trying to find a space, yours might be the space people are looking for. Let's talk about your group
Oh,
for a second.
I I I created something called the World Shaker Society, and the reason is, so Justin, maybe me and you would meet, and then I would put on my Insta story, "Hey, I was just with Justin Colby," and then other people would say, "Oh my God, I love him. I follow him. I watch his podcast." Or I would be in Germany, and I would say who I was with, and people would say, "Oh, I really like that guy." So I thought it's interesting that I know so many men and so many women that do well, so many men, so many women that are on their way up. Why not create a group? So we created a group called the World Shaker Society. It is a community of people that have a growth mindset. It's not good,
Mm,
it's phenomenal.
mm.
So it started off where there was over 1,000 people trying to get into 100 spots. Now I am opening up more spots. And so I mentor you. So 3 times a month on Zoom, you will get together with several hundred people, and I mentor you on the 8 areas of your life: the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the job, the career, the finances. You guys, come on. It's phenomenal for only $270 a month. Invest in yourself. So to learn more about it, and thank you, Justin, for letting me talk about it. So Tim and then STOREY.com, World Shaker Society. It's a must do. And I bring on the best of the best to help educate us, even on sleep, on breathing, on anxiety, depression. You'll love it.
Well, and this is where people need to be intentional. I mean, for $300 a month, let's call it, and you can be around Tim and the other thought leaders and shakers and movers. There are people that won't do it, and they're the same people that will be stuck in where they're at and not know why they can't get out from under whatever the thing is. They can't get further forward. They're stuck under this financial whatever. It's because you're not being intentional with creating the connections, right? I went around speaking for the better part of 7 to 8 years on
Mhm.
kind of a speaking world tour, so to speak, and sometimes there was 5 people there, and sometimes there was 5,000,
Yeah.
and it was because I was intentional with connecting with the people that I could make a difference with, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, even you and I speaking at a Clever Summit together, right? And coming up backstage
Which
and
was
being intentional about saying hi, and that's what people are missing.
I totally agree. And I think that it's almost like you stepped up as we started the podcast and talked to some of the girls and you stepped out of your comfort zone. This is what I had to do to get close to Iacocca, to get
Mhm.
close to Quincy Jones, to get close to Vidal Sassoon. I mean, these guys were like the masters of their day in what they did. But, they invited me around once or twice, but I wasn't shy about calling their assistants and saying, "Hey, it's Tim Storey." I was young. I was in my 20s. I got an idea, and they say, "Oh, Mr. Iacocca was just talking about you the other day. Come by the Bel Air house." I was intentional
Yeah.
because I want to be around these kind of people because I wanted to learn.
Well, and people need to reframe all of it, right? Meaning, what is the worst someone can say if you do reach out?
Yeah,
No, that's the worst they can say. No, I don't want to do business with you, or no, I don't want to date you if you're trying to get a girl. Like, no, okay, so what? Who cares?
yeah,
Irrelevant in your life. You
that's
move
how.
on.
Yeah. So
And
I was looking up a picture while we were talking because I want to show this. This is me the other day
yeah.
at this is in Detroit, and the Motown house is right behind me. So at Motown, watch this. Barry Gordy created Motown. Out of Motown, Justin, came Stevie Wonder,
Mm,
Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, Temptations, the Jackson 5, and Diana Ross and the Supremes. Okay. All out of that little house. So, Justin, intentionally, I went and visited there the other day, just 3 days ago. But I want to tell you something that's awesome because we're talking about the power of partnership.
mm.
Smokey Robinson said, "I would never be Smokey Robinson if it wasn't for Stevie Wonder." Stevie Wonder says, "I will never be Stevie Wonder if it wasn't for Smokey Robinson." Marvin Gaye said the same. The Temptations said the same because they all collaborated with each other. That is the power of partnership.
Yep.
Okay. So I like to say this, and it's an old saying, probably been around 30 years. You need to go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated.
Oof.
Go where you're
Oof.
celebrated, not where you're tolerated. I don't go where I'm tolerated. I'll go to Justin where I'm celebrated.
Amen. Amen. That's right. And again, kind of leaning into this connections. I want you to realize, like, so I don't think you've heard me say this. I don't think, but I became very intentional in 2025 to say I'm more about collaboration than anything else. Like collaboration over competition. When you get to a certain level of life,
Mhm.
there's still those guys out there. And Tim, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
kill everybody. I'm out to take everybody's food. I'm out. Fine. Let's see how far that takes you, right? Like you might do well, you might, but what about the other 4 components of your life? Like, how are your connections? How's your family? How are your kids? Like, if that's your mentality, like, I don't get me wrong. In business, I am in business to win,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean the other side has to lose either. Make
Yes.
sense?
I listen, I love this about you because I'm all about the collaboration and I collaborate with a lot of people that do extremely well, but I do collaboration with people that are on the come up because
Mm,
man, you don't know who is like working on brilliance. I remember the first time I met Pharrell Williams, I was in the studio with another very well known rapper. And Pharrell was there. He just looked like some quiet kid from Virginia. We didn't know he was going to be Pharrell Williams and create all these songs. And now he's doing Louis Vuitton men's collection. So
that's
you
right.
you never know who's in the room, right?
Yeah, never. And don't ever end one of my favorite people on the planet, one of my closest friends, Kent Clothier taught me this, and
Yeah,
he has a story regarding um his first like really big investor in the real estate space. And it was this old farmer. All
yeah,
shucks, like overalls, cowboy hat, literally looked like he came out of the field. And Kent tells a story, but it's just so true. So I tell it as well. But like he treated him like everyone else. Good conversation,
yes,
wanted to be interested in him, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone else was like, here's some old farmer, who cares, right? Everyone else in the room. And Kent had the same conversation with him that he would with Tim Story, a known
yeah,
name, best-selling author. And that farmer was worth millions and millions and became a great business relationship to Kent. And I tell that story because it's a little bit more extreme,
yeah.
but the idea is, right, like, just you never know who you're talking to. You never know whose hand you're
But
shaking, and if you go in with the right intention, you never know where that connection leads you.
I like the intention side because I think that shows character. And I think we've lost a lot of that in the pursuit of success. You got to keep
That's
the
right.
character. So let's go back to miracle mentality. So number one is you have to have uncommon thoughts. Number two, you have uncommon plans. Number three, you have to have uncommon partners, the power of partnership. And then this is a very interesting one. Out of uncommon partners, you have to have uncommon resilience. Let's talk about that. Because what's going to happen, you guys, there's going to be an opposition to your mission. It's going to be like being in football at the 10-yard line. That's when they call that the red zone. They're going to throw blitzes at you, certain schemes you've never seen. Some of you are so close to doing something huge and you almost want to back off. But Justin and I are going to help you today. We're going to fire you up. We're going to give you some strategy to get you over the goal line because you will face resistance. If it's not from your spouse or your girlfriend, it might be from other investors. It might be from a pandemic would hit. There will be resistance, but persistence breaks resistance. When I say persistence breaks resistance, Justin, teach him on that.
Let's go. Listen, I was going to make you repeat it, by the way. So I'm glad you repeated it because there's no way, the age old analogy, there's no way to beat a man who keeps getting up.
Yeah.
He's unbeatable. And I've done, now, so 2003 to 2025. So it's 22 years as an entrepreneur. 18 of those specifically have been in the real estate space, right? I can't tell you how much, it is, I couldn't tell you how many days I see resistance.
Yeah.
One sometimes bigger than the others, right? Like right now, just in transparency, I'm dealing with a crooked contractor who has financially genuinely hurt my real estate business. And I tell people in transparency that because I want them to realize, even though where they view me and where I'm at in life and the money I've made and all the cool shit that I see on social media, I still have to deal with resistance, with getting punched in the face. And by the way, going back to connections and tying it all in, guess who I get to call when I'm on the mat? Tim, come pick me up, bro. Get me off this mat. Like I need help right now.
Yeah.
And that goes back to your connections. Who are your connections? I made a post the other day, kind of something like, hey, if they're not there to, if your friends or your people, your connections are not there to pick you up off the mat when you're down, do not answer the phone when you won the World Series.
Wow. Okay. This is so good. Justin, sometimes as a entrepreneur, you feel like Jackie Chan in Rush Hour 1. Okay. He's just minding his own business with Mr. Tucker, right? And so they're doing Rush Hour 1. And then remember, like the opposition would come and then pow, he'd get the pow, pow, pow. And like different people will come from different spots, coming from the back, he'd flip. That's how you feel as an entrepreneur. So right now, Justin's dealing with a contractor, but at the same time, you might have something else hit, or you're working on a property and a snowstorm hits Cleveland and you didn't expect it.
That's right.
And then you might have a health scare. So, but there is a way of dealing with those Jackie Chan things coming at you all at once. And it is that book by Mr. Keller from Keller Williams. You have to do one thing at a time.
Big book.
That's how you deal with an opponent. One watch at a time.
That's right. And the thing, most people try to swallow the elephant. They see, and listen, the problem I have right now, this isn't some like, oh, I lost a couple bucks on a flip. Like this guy got me, right? Totally criminal, fraudulent, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And you could look at it in the totality of it, or you could go into bite-sized chunks and one bite at a time, one thing at a time, and over the runway. I call it a runway. You need a runway to take down the elephant, right? You need to get through it all. And you will if you persist. If you decide to say, fuck it, I quit.
Yep.
You're gonna go right back to wherever you are, and everywhere you go, there you are.
And what happens, as you know, that if you learn how to deal with the resistance at this stage of your life, you'll be better in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's like the GOATs in basketball. A LeBron James could have a bad quarter, but in his mind, he's like, dude, look, I'm going to turn this around. You agree?
I agree. I mean, I'm a Warrior fan, right? So I'm diehard Warrior. So Steph Curry's my guy.
So let's take it to one of the Warriors then. Which one?
Steph Curry, look at his first 5 years, right? People thought he was never gonna make it. He had ankle problems. Like, why did they, draft such a skinny, small little point guard? Blah blah blah. He is arguably one of the top 5 great, in my opinion, top 5 greatest players to ever live.
Agree.
Not to mention the best 3-point shooter of all time history. And
Yeah.
he's doing it at a level that most little young Thundercats, the 22-year-olds, wish they could still do. Same thing with LeBron. He's still performing at such a high level at 40 years old. Like, it's insane, right?
Mhm.
And so, again, there's always that. And then that brings me to a sports analogy.
Yeah.
You can't win the championship with the clean jersey.
Yes.
It doesn't happen. No one does it, right? Look at the people that you work with, Tim. I mean,
And that is so good. It's true.
you can't win the championship with a clean jersey.
You
So
cannot.
look at me, but I bring this into your world, right? You're the life coach to the stars. You talked about Robert Downey Jr. At least I'm aware. Most people are aware of the drug battles he went through and going to jail and all this.
Yeah.
He's fucking Iron Man.
He's Iron Man and he's worth about 400 million now.
Persistence, right? Growth. Things, yeah, you might make some silly decisions. Granted. Got it. Fine. Okay. But that doesn't define you.
Okay, so
And he made a choice to not be defined by the silly decisions he made. Start working with Tim Storey, and now he's worth 400 million.
I like how you are verbalizing this. So let me just tell the people though that persistence is not just grit. Because a lot of people think persistence is just I beat the sun up. Okay. That they're just like, dude, I'm in the gym. I'm in the 10X health with Gary Brecka. And Gary Brecka, I love you. Okay, but persistence is not just the grit. Persistence is something that gets inside of you where all of a sudden there's almost like a miracle mentality that's just not on you, but it's in you. Miracle mentality says, somehow, some way, I'm going to get through. Somehow, some way, I'm going to get through. So if there's a mountain in front of you today, and talking to everybody watching, sometimes you drill through the mountain. That's that persistence, chest pounding. But sometimes you're supposed to go around the mountain, and sometimes you're supposed to climb the mountain. So you got to say, this mountain that I'm facing today, do I drill through it? Damn it, get the hell out of my way. Drill through it. Do I go around it or do I go over it?
And by the way, don't make that decision your own 4 walls.
Yeah.
Call someone who's been there. This is the power of Tim's mastermind. Be around people who have been there before. So you have someone to call to say, hey, I have a mountain sitting in front of me today. What do I do? Do I go through? Do I go around? Do I go over? And then use the path of proven model, right? If Tim says, Justin, you've done this, go around today because watch this, watch what happens rather than going over. Then I know it's a proven model. Tim's done it. Tim's been through it. I can just go replicate the proven model.
Yes.
This is why you need to be a part of it.
And that's what we do with this mastermind. It's called World Shaker Society. Thank you, Justin, for mentioning it.
Yeah.
And it's a group of men and women. So I bring on the best entrepreneurs. So you will hear from the best speakers we have in the world, sleep coaches, but you also bring on people from the IRS, how to deal with taxes. We deal with everything. So that is true. Within this group, this private group that costs only $270 a month, that it's 3 sessions every month on Zoom, and I coach you. You have the chance to ask somebody who is the best of the best in dealing with the IRS and taxes, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Or I'm in this dilemma in the area of a loan. What do I do? So There's no doubt about it. We need help. You need help. I need help. I constantly go to my friends for advice.
Of course. And this is such a powerful episode, and I think that the thing that I would tell you guys, make sure you get into Tim's mastermind, but also understand Tim's story, Justin Colby, name the name. We deal with the same shit you guys deal with,
Yes,
and
we
we
do.
too need to make some phone calls. And I want that to be a big takeaway from the episode, right? Now, yes, there's some levels to who we get to call when you're around certain circles, but you got to
Yeah.
start somewhere. You need a circle, right? And that's where
Mhm.
Tim's mastermind. Dude, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all you do for the community, for people, for performers, for entrepreneurs. Tim, you're a blessing to the world, my friend, and people need to know more about Tim's story.
Thank you, Justin. Keep on changing lives the way you do, and you have a real servant spirit, and I think that's one reason life is just picking you up and just taking you out there. So the guys that have gone before you, like myself, we honor you. We're proud of you, and it's your time to shine.
Brother, I appreciate you. Thank you for those kind words. Again, check out Tim's story. Go to all the social medias. He has millions and millions and millions of followers. His book, right? The miracle mentality. He has his mastermind, right? I just make sure you're in his world. He's a blessing. We'll see you. If this helped you in any level, make sure you share this with at least two of your friends. Peace.